integrated development environment is our IDE. Because of this IDE, we can easily write our programs, download our programs, and execute our program. We can easily do with that. Okay, that's why we always go with the IDE. Everywhere, Java will use Eclipse, NetBeans, IntelliJ, all are IDEs. And here, Java IDEs, and then .NET related all IDEs we have. And like that, you can find it here, different IDEs. IDE is an integrated development environment. It is mainly used for creating our application very easily. So that inbuilt structure, inbuilt programming is already available with that programming. So directly we can use that structure for creating project. Okay, so we always go with IDE for writing our programs. For our UI, we have Visual Studio Code, we have Atom, and we have brackets, and we have NetBeans. Here IntelliJ, Here like this, we have so many IDEs. Java IDE, PHP IDE, like that you can use any one IDE for developing our application. So for developing our UI programming, you can use any one IDE. Here now, this Visual Studio Code. How to use this Visual Studio Code? Here first go to the Google and search for IDE. Here search for Visual Studio Code. Here you can find the Visual Studio Code exe file. Okay. Yes. I started recording. Yeah. Here IDE and this here. This is our IDE exe file. This exe file I can click on installation button. Click on install. So if you double click on it, it will start installation. It will ask you next steps. Where you want to install C drive or D drive, terms and conditions. So finally, after a few next buttons, it will be installed in your system. So after completion of this installation, here then go to the computer start button, then search for VS Code. Here you can find Visual Studio Code will be opened. So opened. So after opening it, then you can go for File, Open, Folder option. So up to this, I'll do it. Here we are searching for Google. Here we are going for Visual Studio Code. It is showing that Visual Studio Code IDE. If you click on it, you can find that download option. Just if you click on it, it will be download in your system. So automatically it will be download in our downloads. See, it is downloading. It will download like this. Visual Studio Code setup file will be downloaded like this. After downloading it, see here, Visual Studio Code setup file, current version 1, you can download it. After downloading it, just if you double click on it, it will start installation in our system. But here it will start installation for our program. I already installed in my system, so that's why it is not in. I cannot install once again. So if I click on it, it will ask me already installed. Do you want to create one more configuration like that? It will ask. Okay, so this way we can execute it. So we are going to execute our application like this. Because of that, we can execute our program. Okay, here Visual Studio Code, accept conditions, and you can install it. After installation, just go to the computer start button, VS Code. So if you search for VS Code, then you can open that Visual Studio Code after installing into your system. After completion of installation, you can show that output like this. Okay, so here input type and all buttons, everything you can show like this. Okay, here now go to the file. Here go to the file, open folder. Go to the file, open folder and create one new folder in your system. Wherever you want, you can create it. Here I'm creating in documents location, I created one 6 AM folder. That 6 AM folder, just I'll select it. So by that, 6 AM folder will come into this configuration. After this, you have two options to create file and folder. Here it is new folder, here it is new file. So first I am creating new folder under this 6 AM. So that is HTML4. Under this HTML4 folder, I am creating one file here, that is my 1.html. So this way generally we'll start our configuration of our application. Configuration of Visual Studio Code, we can do it like this. Okay, Visual Studio Code configuration, we can do it like this. So here only we are writing here doc type HTML head and body. Here HTML start and close, head to start and close, and body start and close. Okay, this is the standard code for any HTML page. You can write anything inside the body. Welcome to HTML, I'm writing here. So I'm writing one folder, I'm creating one folder in documents location. So I'll go for open folder option. Here you can create your own folder for our project. See, here I created a subfolder under this main folder. So by clicking here, that is new folder. Under this new folder, you can create one new file. Okay, so this way you can create your folder as well as file. Okay, folder and file, we can create it like this. So after creating this, go to the folder structure, documents, 6 AM, HTML4, double click. So by that you can execute your program. See here, you can see welcome to HTML and my file is opened in the browser. If you save any file with the extension of .html, by default it will open in the browser like this. By default it will open in the browser like this. So here I'm able to execute my program like this. So here welcome to HTML is executing like this. So next one, here documents and all we are executing like this. So here in this 1.html I'm able to show my output like this. Here you have one more execution process. Go to the doc extensions, then you can search for live server. Live server. So when you search for live server, you can find one live server option. If you click on install button, it will be installed in your Visual Studio Code. See, here we have one extension option. Under this extension, if you search for live server, here you can click on install button of live server. So once it is installed, you can see that 1.html program. You can see like this 1.html program execution. Okay, here when you right click on it, you can see that open with live server. You can see that execution of open with live server execution. Here if you click on this open option, here open with live server option, so this file will be opened in our application. So open with live server option, if I click on it, then you can see that here that execution of that live server. See here, observe that URL. Normally if you open your file with browser, output will come like this. So now we executed our program 1.html execution here like this. So if you execute your program with a browser, that output will come with a live server like this. This is the way generally live server will execute our program. Live server will execute our program in this way. Okay, here we are executing our program with the live server. Because of that, you can see that execution of the code. Okay, here in this time, you can see that here open here one folder. Under this folder only, you can find it one.html. Here, now I'll write it here. Open folder. Under that, select your own folder. Select your own folder here. Under that, create one subfolder. Here, create one subfolder here. So we created HTML4 folder, and we created here 6am folder. 6am folder we created here. After that, create one file here. That file will be one.html. Create one file. That file will be one.html. This, after creating that one.html, under this one.html, we can write our code. Doc type HTML head and body. After this, go for Visual Studio Code. Under this, you can find here, go for Visual Studio Code. Under this Visual Studio Code, here you can find extensions. Under this extensions, you can search for live server. Live server is one extension. This extension, you can click on install button. Click on install button. So it will be installed in our system. So once it is installed, go for your program one.html. Then right click on it. Once you right click on it, you can see that execution of the code. Here you can right click on one.html. After right click on it, you can find your execution of the code will be here. This is our live server execution. Here open with live server is one option. Here you can find your live server. Open with live server is one option will be there. Because of that, it will open our output in the live server. That execution will come like this. One way of executing our program will be like this. Another way, normally you can open it with browser. So by that you can see that execution. So this is normal way of executing our program. Here normal way of execution of our program, we can run like this. In two ways you can execute your program. One is with a live server, another way here, just open that file with the browser. So two ways we can execute our program. So till now I explained what all IDEs we have. Without IDE, normally you can write your program with Notepad and you can execute it with browser. So that is possible. But here if you use Advantage, if you use this IDE, Advantage over here, it is easy development, fast development, we can do it. And because of that IDE have some intelligence. So when you write starting tag, automatically it will give you ending tag. So like that, we can continue our content. Okay. So whenever we write the starting tag, definitely it will add ending tag for us. So because of that, we can show our starting ending tags for our application. So by that, you can show that execution. Here, Visual Studio Code is a widely used one. So that's why I'm using Visual Studio Code. That is the first priority one in that IDE. Other than that also you can use any one IDE, Autumn, Bracket, NetBeans, any one IDE you can use it for development. Here this is one IDE, it is mainly for integrated development environment, it is mainly used for creating our application. Okay, next one, here creating our application sake we can create our output like this. Next, here we are going for the next year. Okay, so next one here. Here IDE integrated development environment we are using here. Because of that we can execute our output like this. Here IDE installation we will go for Google and search for Visual Studio Code. You can find exe file. You can click on install button. So when you click next button it will be installed in your system. So once it is installed it will be ready with your program. When you click start option here, it will when you click start button of your computer, then you can find Visual Studio Code. Once it is open, that folder will be opened in your system. Once it is open, that folder we can create it in our application. So 6am folder we created, under that only we have HTML4 folder we have created, and in that we created 1.html. In that 1.html we'll write doc type HTML head and body tag. Inside the body tag I wrote welcome to HTML. So okay, so welcome to HTML. So next we are going for Visual Studio Code extensions. Then we are searching for live server. So once you click on live server, it will be installed in your system. So once you click on live server, it will be installed in your system. Okay, so once it is installed, then you can go for your program 1.html. When you right click on it, you can open your program with a live server. You can open your program with a live server. So by that you can execute your program. So we can able to execute our program with a live server. We can execute our program with a live server. We can run our program like this. So the two ways of execution we observed here. One is with live server, another one is here normally opening with a browser. So two ways of execution of our program we observed here. So this is what here totally installation configuration of Visual Studio Code in our system. Okay, so now I'm going for first topic HTML4. So up to now I explained how to add how to install Visual Studio Code, how to add our folder into that workspace. Those all we discussed here. Now I'm going for next one here. So next one we are going for next one here, that will be here HTML4. How to use HTML4. Under this HTML4, HTML is a hypertext markup language. Hypertext markup language. Okay, here hypertext markup language. Markup here it is tag based programming. Here it is a tag based programming. Here tag means here instruction to the browser. Instruction to browser. Tag is here instruction to the browser. So these instructions, so everything in HTML will write it with the tags. Without tag, we never write anything in the HTML. So everything will write it with the tags. Here these tags are here two types. Two types of tags we have. Here one is paid tag. Here one is paid tag. Second one is here unpaid tag. Two types of tags we have. One is paid tag. Another one is here unpaid tag. Paid and unpaid. Next one, here paid tag and unpaid tag we have. So paid is used to start like this. Here that paid tag, if you observe here, we write it tag name, starting tag, here itself tag name, this is ending tag. So in between starting and ending tag, if you write it, that is paired tag. If you write starting tag and if you write ending tag, because of that you can execute your program. This is what paired tag. Similar way you can find it here unpaired tag. Tag name and here itself will close it. This is unpaired tag. Here we are writing here paired tag and unpaired tag. Because of that we can execute our program. Here we can write it here paired tags and here only we can write it here unpaired tags. So in HTML page, standard code for the HTML page here. HTML mainly for content of the web page. It is a skeleton of the web page. We can write it by HTML. So doc type is not a pair, not a unpair. It is a special tag. It gives instruction to the browser. We are writing a document type of HTML. Doc types informs us document type HTML. Document type HTML. Here itself we can write it here HTML start, HTML close. Under this only we can write it here head start and close and body start and close. Here head start and close and body start and close we can write like this. Under this head only we can write it here. Under this head only we can write it here script tag and then style tag. Script is used to write JavaScript code. Then style is used to write CSS code. Script and style will write it for our execution of our code. Here inside the body, we can write so many contents here. Inside this body tag, here as of now, headings. Heading tags are here. See, body tag is a pair tag, head is a pair, script is a pair, HTML is a pair. Why? Because we have starting tags and we have ending tags. And one more example here, H1. H1 is one pair tag. Here and between this H1, if I write it here, something, heading 1 I am writing here. This heading 1 will display in very big size. Very big size heading will be displayed for this. Here very big size heading will be displayed for our application like this. This way only we can execute our program. Here doc type HTML head and body like this we can write. Okay, heading 1 will be displayed here very big size. See here H1 starting. When I write starting tag, automatically Visual Studio Code is giving ending tag. So now I'm writing heading 1. Control yes. Then right click on this, open with live server. See here, you can see that welcome to HTML is smaller size and that it is not bold. But heading 1 it is displaying here big size, bold content like this. Here it is displaying bold content like this because of that H1. Heading 1. So H1 is displaying very big size heading and this one you can see in that Visual Studio Code like this. In this first one doc type, it is a document type of HTML. It is a standard. It gives instruction to the browser. We are writing HTML document. So that's why we should start with doc type HTML. Even if you don't write doc type HTML head and body directly, if you write H1 also you can execute it. But according to W3 schools, we have to follow that rule. So that's why we are using. Okay, here doc type HTML head and body we can write like this. So now you can see that here doc type, here it is a document type of HTML. Head tag and body tag we can show for our program. Head tag and body tag we can show for our program. Head tag is used to write header information. Body tag is used to write body part of our application. Body part of our application we can write it by body tag. Head tag and body tag we can write for our programs. Next, under this head and body we are writing HTML tags, all will be like this. Next one, here under this HTML only we will write head and body tag. Under this head, here head and body tag we are writing here. Under this head, we are going to write script and style code. Under this body, we are going to write content of our web page. So basic content of our web page, we can write it with this body tag. So this way, we can execute our program. Head and body, we can write it for our program like this. Next one, here doc type, it is a document type of HTML. Head tag, it gives instruction to the browser. We are adding CSS and JavaScript code for our application. Body tag, total body part of our application. You can see that in the body part, you can see that here complete content of our web page. Okay, this way you can observe here head and body. This is what here head and body. Okay, next H1 tag, H1 to H6, we have different headings. H1 will show you bigger size heading for us. H2 will show you little bit smaller size heading for us. H3 little bit smaller. So it is in descending order. So all sizes will be different here, H1 to H6. Only 6 headings we have. If you write H7, it won't work. It won't show any change. Okay, H1 to H6 headings we have. Here H1 will show you bigger size heading for us. H2 will show you here heading 2. It will show you a little bit bigger size heading. Next here we can write it here, heading 3 will show you little more bigger size. Here one more heading here, heading 4, then one more heading here, heading 5, then heading 6. So these all headings we can write it for our program. Okay, here these all we can write it for our program with this H1 to H6. H1 will show you smaller size heading. H2, H3, H4, H5, H6 in the descending order. So all sizes will change one size to one H1 to H6. So now I'm writing here H1 tag. Under this H1 tag, we are writing heading 1, heading 2, heading 3 up to heading 6. Now run your program with the live server. See, you can see that execution of that code will be like this. Here execution of the code will be like this. See here in this you can find it here. H1 is very big in size. H2 little bit smaller size. H3 little more smaller. H4, H5, H6. Like this, all different sizes of headings we can show for our project. For our project, H1 to H6, all different sizes of headings we can show for our program. H1 will show you bigger size heading. H2, H3, H4, H5, H6, that sizes will be like this. When you right click, inspect element, here you can find H1 is very big size like this. H2, see that sizes all are defined in this. Here all sizes you can find it here. H1 2 EM, H2 1.5 EM, H3 1.17 EM. EM is a measurement. 1 EM equal to 16 pixels. Generally font sizes we can measure it in pixels. Here 1 EM equal to 16 pixels. 1 EM equal to 16 pixels. That sizes of H1 tag 2 EM. So 32 pixel size. Here H2 1.5 EM. Next H3 1.17. H4 no size. H5 0.83. H6 0.67. Like this we can show for our program. H1 to H6 we can show for our program like this. H1 will show you bigger size heading. H6 will show you smaller size heading. All headings for our application we can show like this. Okay, but for only H4 there is no font size, only margin padding it is showing. This is the inbuilt CSS for our tags. Inbuilt CSS. The CSS is already defined in the browser. Wherever you write h1 tag, it will show you bigger size heading for us. Suppose if you check even in the Gmail or GoToMeeting or any site, here if you check it, this GoToMeeting, see here my trainings. My trainings, if you right click and inspect element here in this, okay, yeah, here inspect English, yeah, inspect element. When you right click and inspect element here, now you can see that here a doc type, HTML, head and body, so many things you can see. Here if you right click only, see doc type, HTML, head and body is the standard code. Under this, if you right click and inspect element on this, see it is H1. Okay, because of H1, it is showing that output like this. Because of H1, it is showing that output like this. So my trainings is directly showing like this. My trainings is directly showing with the H1 tag like this. This way you can execute your program. Okay, this way only you can execute your program. Yeah, this is what here totally H1 to H6 paragraph tags and all. Today's just information about all this. Today we discussed how to install Visual Studio Code, what all IDEs we have, and how to install it, then how to configure Visual Studio Code in our system. After that, how to execute our programs in Visual Studio Code. Those all we discussed up to now. Okay, tomorrow I'll continue on the remaining part. So pair and unpair, in under that unpaired tags, how to write it, and what all the list of what all other unpaired tags we have, those all I'll explain to you in tomorrow's session. So up to now we continued like this. Okay, here pair and unpair, and these all we discussed like this. Okay, this is what here on today's first configuration, session 1. This is session 1. Demo sessions are over. Session 1 I started. So who are interested to continue my classes, complete your registration, and who are already completed their registration, they can continue with that link. Who are not completed their registration, for them get the updated link from organizer. So by that you can join in the class. So complete your registration and then get the link, then join in the class who are not completed their registration. Tomorrow we'll continue a second program, block and in this one paid and unpaid. Under this unpaid tags. Unpaired tags, how to write it, that I'll explain to you. And everyday recordings, paint file programs, everything I'm uploading in one drive. That drive is already shared with you. So Gmail drive I'm uploading every day. The drive is already shared with you. If you're not able to see my files or folders, anything, let me know. And if you feel the problem in the installation of Visual Studio Code and configuration of Visual Studio Code, if you have any doubt, you can ask me in the mail. So I already shared my mail ID with you in that mail. Okay, you can respond to that mail for your doubts clarification. Okay, yeah, that's it for today. If you have any doubt, you can ask, please. Any doubts? Yes.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yes. Good morning.
Ma'am, I'm MD Gafar, ma'am. I didn't receive drive link, ma'am.
Drive link. Okay.
Yeah, ma'am.
I already shared the drive with you. I have only few mail IDs. So check your mail ID. Is it in this list or not?
Yeah, listed, ma'am. I'm seeing.
Yeah. Is it
Yeah,
wrong in the mail
Gafar.
ID? Anything?
No, right, ma'am.
Right. So you
Yes.
already got my drive. Check
Yeah,
your,
receive your message, but not drive link, ma'am.
see this one, 6 a.m. drive.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Once you share, ma'am, I will check, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll share with you all the failed students. See, it is already shared. It is showing. Yeah.
And
Access.
also with me, today only I registered.
Not in the go to training. You have to register with DURGASOFT.
Okay. Yeah, I already registered.
Okay. Okay. So let me get your mail ID from organizer. Then I'll give you this type to you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
ma'am.
it.
Receive, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Done.
Thank you.
Tomorrow we'll continue on the remaining topics. Thank you.